Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're calling in from. Welcome to What's New in Review 2017, presented by Orange Blade Consultants. My name is Meredith Jung. I'm a technical manager on the sales side here at Bluebeam, and I am so happy to have you all on the line today to go over the new features in Review 2017. Before we get started, a few pieces of housekeeping here. The first is that John Magyar from Orange Blade Consultants is manning the questions window today. You'll see it in your GoToWebinar interface, so if you have any questions, please feel free to type those into the question window. The next one is that today's webinar is being recorded, and you can reach out to Orange Blade Consultants for a copy of this recording. You should see it in the next couple of days going up on their site, but you can also ask them for that link at a later date. Finally, if you are watching this as a recording, please feel free to reach out to Orange Blade Consultants with any questions you have. Their whole team there, John, Mike, Sarah, and Joel, will be more than happy to help you out with any questions that you have related to Review 2017. Now, a little bit of information about myself. As the technical manager at Bluebeam on the sales side, I'm really here to help our customers do what they do better and find solutions for streamlining a variety of workflows using Review. And today I'm so happy to be supporting John Magyar and Orange Blade Consultants as they go through to help you guys do what you do better and streamline your workflows that you do on a day-to-day basis. I do come out of the AV industry. I used to be a consultant speccing out systems and helping with installations. So I have a bit of familiarity with some of the workflows we're going to cover today, and am very much looking forward to helping you guys do your jobs better than I did at my last company, using some tools to digitize your workflows and really streamline the work you do day to day. To give you some information on our sponsor today, Orange Blade Consultants. Orange Blade Consultants was one of the first Bluebeam Platinum partners when we started the Bluebeam Platinum Partnership back in 2012. And in their 12th year, or 2013, one of the two, but they're actually in their 12th year as a Bluebeam reseller. They're also one of our original resellers. And Orange Blade Consultants really has been providing outstanding service to their clients throughout the world. It's a tradition they've had from their start and continue through to today. The outstanding service that they provide includes top-notch sales support, Bluebeam authorized services, and Bluebeam certified training. And they can really help you with any needs that you have in terms of buying, rolling out, implementing, deploying, and more effectively using Review. So feel free to reach out to their team. John, Mike, Sarah, and Joel are more than happy to help you with any Bluebeam or Review needs that you have. A little bit about Bluebeam before we jump into the new features. We are your global project partner here at Bluebeam, and we're developing innovative solutions that can set the standard for collaboration and workflow efficiency throughout construction projects and for all AEC professionals worldwide. So you can see a number of the top U.S. contractors, design firms, and specialty contractors use Review, and Review is also heavily used in international markets as well. So we really are your global project partner and are looking forward to helping you out throughout the project lifecycle. Now, the product you're going to see today is Bluebeam Revu. It is your end-to-end workflow solution for AEC projects. It's trusted by over 1 million AEC professionals worldwide and will take care of digitizing your workflows and all of the collaboration that you need to do. And within Bluebeam Revu is Bluebeam Studio, a trusted collaboration platform that connects project partners worldwide in real time on the same set of centralized documents, giving you a single source of truth. We're not going to go into Studio today, but if you'd like to learn more about Studio, you're welcome to reach out to Orange Blade Consultants, and they'd be happy to give you more information on Bluebeam Studio. Now, finally, when we talk about end-to-end with Revu, this end-to-end workflow solution, we really are talking end-to-end when it comes to your large construction project. from the point at which the design comes out of whichever design program you choose to use and needs to go into the review, through all of the processes that are involved in pre-construction, construction, and then handover of the project to the owner. And once the owner has that project, how the owner manages that project. We use the PDF file format to ensure that all of your information can be easily shared throughout this section, can easily be collaborated on, and can then be used downstream once construction is done by the owner to continue through the life of that building. Now here's what you're here to see, Review 2017. And Review 2017 really focuses on maximizing workflow efficiency and giving you tools that you can use throughout the project lifecycle. All of the tools that you're going to see today have been created based on customer feedback that you've sent either to suggestions@bluebeam.com or that you've sent over to your reseller like John Magyar at Orange Blade Consultants, like Orange Blade Consultants. So what you've got here with Review 2017 is two big focuses. The first is quantity takeoff workflows, and we're going to focus a bit of time up front on the new quantity takeoff tools because we've really streamlined this process to make it even easier and faster and more accurate for you guys to deliver better bids on jobs. The next set that we'll look at are the automation and visualization tools in Review that have been designed to really maximize the communication that you do and make your communication even more efficient and more powerful, and also to really streamline a lot of the work that you do day to day. No more administrative tasks. We're taking a lot of those and really streamlining them with the automation tools this year. So let's start today with quantity takeoffs. How do you deliver a better bid? There are 4 new features that we're going to go over today as we talk about delivering a better bid. We're going to look at dynamic fill, which is a quick and easy way to perform takeoffs on your page or otherwise define regions and work with those regions. We'll then look at quantity link, an extreme-only feature that makes it even faster for you to get your measurements and takeoff tools out of Review and into whichever tool you use to create your bids. We'll also look at enhancements to both the measurement tools in Review and the count tools in Review. So you've got a lot of great new ways to perform your takeoffs so that you can actually take off pretty much everything on the page. Jumping into Review here, what I've got going on is I'm going to open up my material takeoff. And one of the things that you may or may not be doing for those of you performing takeoffs is creating profiles in advance that will help you with your takeoffs. I know it's a little off topic for 2017, but I want to talk about these profiles because what you're going to find is that a lot of the setup we do in the profiles is going to get used downstream as we look at quantity link, as we look at dynamic fill, as we look at the measurement tool enhancements. So I want to briefly step aside and look into profiles. Now we've got one that we've attached to this document. I've previously imported it, and as I switch into my Advanced Materials Takeoff profile, what you'll notice is I have a new set of tools along the top, some additional tools on the side, and then a couple of changes here. The first is in the markups list. So here in the markups list, we've got a couple of custom columns that have been pre-created for us. And as I click on Manage Columns here, what you'll notice is that we have a custom choice column, and this choice column allows us to assign materials and also some costs if we want to, and then a material cost formula column so that we can get a quick subtotal here in Review. Now, if you were anything like my last company, you're probably taking this information out to Excel, so you don't have to create all these columns, but these columns, for example, the material column is really nice to have, and we'll show you how that comes into play downstream, having materials pre-created in the markups list. And material costs, if you'd like to do that cost estimating here. The other thing I'm going to do, and this one I just like to have on, is this label column. I know my colleagues don't like it as much, so they haven't put it in to this section, but I like to have my label column right by my subject. And you're going to see that as we go into the custom tools that I've created or my team has created to perform these takeoffs with. Now that we've looked at some customizations to the markups list, which are saved with this profile once I finish up today, we're now going to look at the tool chest. And for those of you who haven't seen the tool chest before, the tool chest is where all of your tools that you've used can be saved with their custom properties for use at a later date. What you'll notice is I've got a number of tools set up here. They've got a subject and they've got a label. So for example, for my flooring, I have carpet, concrete 1, concrete 2, tile, and VCT. So I have 5 types of flooring. They all have that subject of flooring, but this label now allows us to differentiate between the different types. If I click on flooring carpet and I come into our properties panel on the side, this is where you would edit your markups and give them those custom visual properties along with the subject and label. Down here what you'll notice is that there's also that material assigned of carpet 1. So one of the great things that we can do, again with these profiles, preparing ourselves to perform our takeoffs, and we'll use all of the stuff that's in these profiles as we go through today with the new features in Revu 2017, is that we can have our custom columns down here assigned to our different material takeoffs, making it very easy to place a markup and have all of the metadata that we want associated with that markup transfer over with it into the markups list. And again, these are measurement markups, I guess. It saves measurement tools in addition to regular markup tools. So I have my advanced materials takeoff. We have all of our columns. At this point, the way my team got this to me was just to click on the profile manager, select the profile, and click export. So very easy to get this out to everybody. And again, they just attached it here on the document, but this could have gone up onto an FTP site, a local network drive. They could have emailed it to me. Very easy to get all the tools that we need to work on this project into the same space. Everything's set up, ready to go to start showing off the fantastic new tools in Revu 2017. And the first one I want to show you is by far one of my favorites, and it's called Dynamic Fill. Now before I perform Dynamic Fill, I do need to do a quick calibration of this document. I want to make sure that we've got the correct measurements as we go through today. So this will be 23 feet, 10.5 inches. I'm going to store the scale in the page, and new this year, if I had multiple pages in this document that were all the same scale, I could apply this scale to all of those pages. Clicking OK and taking a very quick reference measurement just to make sure. We are 6 feet 5 inches and we are good to go here. The new feature that's really got me revved up this year is Dynamic Fill. Dynamic Fill, available in Revu Standard CAD or Extreme, makes it incredibly easy for you to perform takeoffs, define regions, and really do all of the setup work for your takeoffs. Now, one of the things that we like to think about with takeoffs that's really important when we're performing our takeoffs is being able to take off rooms of all different sizes with all different types of geometry. And with Dynamic Fill, what I've done is I've set boundaries for the edges of our rooms. And now all I'm going to do is take this paint bucket and fill the room. So very simple and straightforward. Here's room 2. Here's room 3. And here's room 4, right? All I do is I click and I paint. Very simple way to perform this task. Now at this point, there's a variety of things that we can apply to these rooms. So one of the first ones that I want to talk about is spaces. And for those of you not using spaces for your takeoffs, may I offer spaces. Why spaces? Because spaces allows us to define the name of the room. I'm just going to go with Conference 120C for now to apply. Define these locations, and then every markup that gets placed in those locations will be tied to those locations, including all of our measurements. So we can then later in the markups list sort by space and get a subtotal of the amount of sinks in a space, or the amount of flooring needed for a section of the document, or how much that room costs with that material cost column we made earlier. So that's the first thing I'm going to apply here, location-based information for our takeoffs. The next thing that I'm going to do, spaces is on, is I'm going to take our area measurement. Remember we had multiple area types. Because we're looking at men's and women's rooms, a storage room, and a conference room, I'm going to pick concrete 2 here and use that for the rooms. And again, that all came from that advanced materials takeoff toolset that we had set up earlier with this profile. The final one, I want to make sure that I've got my baseboard covered. This one will be a rubber base, so we'll apply that as well. With one click now, Revu's taking all those measurements and applying them. And as I come in here to the markups list at the bottom, what you're going to notice is that I have concrete 02 for the 4 rooms. We have our rubber base for those 4 rooms, right? All of our material information and cost. And if I come over into our spaces, what you'll see with the spaces here is that we've got, and I'm just going to move this out of the way real quickly. We've got conference, they're all labeled conference 120. This one should be storage 120D. Very easy to just relabel it though, as compared to creating these manually. This is men 123, and this one is women 122. So now everything is defined by those spaces, and coming back again down here to our markups list, if I turn on that spaces column, for you to see. Now you'll see where they're stored, and as I sort by that space, we've got those material costs subtotaled by the space. So a really powerful tool for us to really look at all this information here. And again, it was just a couple clicks, right? So if I wanted to come through just to do this one more time, and actually let's take an even better spot, this ramp here. I don't even have to create a boundary on the ramp. Just going to make sure that our edge sensitivity is high here. And at that, oops, and I closed it up. My apologies. Hit the wrong button there. As I come through, all I have to do is click and fill. And there we go. We've got our ramp. All I do then, maybe I don't want to apply baseboard here, and this should be concrete 1. Click apply. Oh, and maybe we'll rename that to ramp 4. Click apply, and there we go. There's the measurement. It's got our space assigned with it too. Very easy to do, and it did all of those rounded corners. No, it caught the rounded corners very easily. Much more easily than if I created this manually. Now, in addition to being able to more easily perform sort of the basic takeoffs with the area, perimeter tools, and even volume tools. You'll notice you have volume. There's a new tool that's up here. It's called the polylength tool. And it's up here showing off a new functionality. We could have applied this with dynamic fill, or we can just start on it on our own. So let me introduce you to polylength. Polylength is a great tool because what polylength allows you to do is it allows you to actually take a length measurement that has the individual lengths in between. So for example, if we wanted to know the runs of pipes in between these sinks, we now have the runs of pipes. So this is how long the pipes in between each sink need to be. And then we also here have a total length. If you think about this in terms of, for example, duct work, if we're looking at electrical work, or even additional plumbing work, right? Maybe your pipes only come in lengths of 10, right? So you can measure out 10 feet at a time and make a long length without having to worry about dealing with, or without having to divide it up later to find out what the different pipe lengths in between would be. You can automatically take care of all of that with the polylength. Now, polylength has a couple of cool things associated with it, and one of them is this ability to right-click and split. So I can split at any point. So now I have 2. This is my first section at 12 feet 1 inches, my second section at 8 foot 2 inches. Another cool one to here is to split them all. So these are now all individual lengths so that later down the line, downstream during construction, we could be tracking the status of each of those individual lengths as they get installed. So some cool options there with that polylength tool. And I've just been joining them back up with Control Z, but there is also the ability once you split them to join them by selecting them all and right-clicking. Now polylength leads into another cool new feature that can be used on any length tool, whether that's length, polylength, or perimeter, and that is the new tool Rise Drop, available here in the measurements section. And what Rise Drop allows us to do is to account for changes in height between where the pipes are going to run, or changes in height because something's running between floors, right? So if this was going between floors, maybe this pipe needed to make it up to the next floor, that would be 10 feet, 0 inches. And as I put in the Rise Drop there, what you'll notice as, oops, Control C, Shift click, there we go, we'll move that measurement there. Shift click allows you to move the measurement without moving, or move the measurement information without moving the actual measurement placed on the page. And what you'll see now is we've got this Rise Drop of 10 feet and the length is updated to 30 feet 2 inches. Maybe this is actually just a smaller rise or drop to get into the wall and come down towards the toilets in this bathroom. And in that case, we could do a different rise drop. So maybe that's 2 feet. And again, as we update that, it automatically updates it here in the polylength tool or in a perimeter or length tool. Now, one of the things you may have noticed here with Rise Drop is there's this new slope section. And the slope section is really cool. I'm going to do it with a ramp. We could easily be doing this on a roof too. And what the slope tool allows us to do is it allows us to take a pitch, a degree, or a grade. And let me drag this out so you can actually see the denominator on the pitch there. Pitch, degree, or a grade, and apply it to any area measurement. So here with this ramp has a grade of 8%. It's a little steep, but not too steep. But as we apply that grade, you'll notice that the area has updated to 852 square feet, and the slope of 8% shows up there. As I change this back to 0%, you'll notice that comes back down to 849 square feet. So you've got some options there with the grade. That grade also applies to any cutouts that are done within the measurement. So because it applies to the area, any of the cutouts that you would place, maybe a polygon cutout here, would be taking it out of that sloped area, not out of the original area. Speaking of cutouts, we have some improvements to the cutout tools too. There's quite a few improvements this year. One of the big ones, the polygon cutout can now be done in shapes other than a square, so you can give a cool shape there. But one of the big ones is the ability to do an ellipse. And when you're talking about round windows on sides of buildings, if you're talking about manhole covers, I'm going to make a really big one here. Just being able to do a circle is very helpful there when performing cutouts, skylights, etc. And one of the cool things with a cutout is you can control click and copy that cutout. So one of the fun keyboard shortcuts. Another thing that we've done with cutouts this year, again, hearkening back to the work that we've done with the tool set on this side here in our tool chest, is the ability to then apply different area measurements to the cutouts. So this is concrete here, but let's say that if it's the other concrete for the cutouts. So now what I can do is I can apply that to those cutouts, and now those cutouts have the different concrete there. So here we go, flooring, concrete 02. And if we wanted to, I know that the caption is turned off here, but we can show a caption for that, concrete 02, and we can edit what shows there. In the past, when you showed the caption for a measurement, your options were to either show the caption with the label or not to show it. Now you can actually turn on and off all sorts of things. So we can take off the label concrete 02, just showing the area. If we wanted to, if there was a volume or a depth associated with this, we could show those in addition, or add in things like width and height. Now the width and height here are pretty cool because these are actually scaled width and height. Any of you guys who have used the width and height tools in the past, for example, when you were performing a perimeter, so you've got a nice perimeter here. You might have taken the perimeter of a window. You would have looked at the width and height, and that width and height would have been the page width and height. Sorry, with an area, not with a perimeter. Try this again. So we have our area measurement here has a width and height, and that width and height would have been the width and height of the page. Now it's the width and height of that actual measurement. So there we go, width 8 feet 2 inches, height 6 feet 3 inches, and we can show that right there. We can also show them as segment values. So turning on show segment values allows us to see them aligned to the segment or aligned horizontally. So maybe we don't want to show it here, but we do want to show it there. Makes it very easy to have that all show up within our measurement. Lots of options when it comes to the measurement tools in Revu 2017. Now the next big enhancement on the actual performing takeoff side, right? We talked about dynamic fill, making it easier for us to fill spaces and take them off. We talked about all of the different changes to the markup or to the measurement tools this year in Revu 2017. Now the one I really want to show you guys is the count tool enhancements. And I think you're really going to appreciate these. And to show them off, I'm going into our search capabilities here and coming down to our sinks in the men's room. I'm going to take a rectangle of those sinks and perform a quick search right in the current page. And Revu is going to go through, it's going to find all of those sinks, whether they're upside down, right side up, facing 90 degrees to the right, 90 degrees to the left, and it's going to show all of our results here for us in the search panel. Now historically, when you've gotten those results in your search panel, you've selected them all, gone to apply count, and the only thing that you could apply was that generic red check mark, which really wasn't all that useful when you have a perfectly good tool set up with plumbing fixtures, right? There are two types of sinks here, a round sink and a square sink, custom symbol created. So now what you can do, apply count measurement to check and pick the correct sink. So this is sink 01, and what you'll notice now is it has applied that custom tool to the sinks, and when we look in the markups list for the sinks here, here's our plumbing, and it's already got sink 01 and all of that custom information that's associated with that particular measurement tool. So it makes it very easy to get exactly the takeoff you want. Now let's say that the sinks in the men's room actually need to be counted separately from the sinks in the women's room. What we can do is we can use the select tool here. I'm just going to select these 5 sinks. There we go. The 5 sinks here. I'm going to right click on them and I'm going to split that count. So just like we could split the polylength, we can now split the count. And to close the side panel, make it easy on us here to see. As I come in, we now have 2 plumbing counts. We have our first plumbing count, which is the 5 sinks here. And then we have our second plumbing count, which is the 6 sinks up top in the women's room. And once again, if we wanted to join them, we can resume our count at any point, or we could select both of these counts. So I'm just going to shift click here to select them both and merge the counts back together into a single 11 sink count. And then once again, like I showed earlier, we could also just split these all into individual counts. So split all gives us individual sinks that again could be tracked downstream during construction. The other big enhancement when it comes to the count tools, and this one is really spectacular, is the ability to take any tool that is in your tool chest and convert it into a count. Now this gets really cool when you're creating custom tools with snapshots. So let's say we wanted to count toilets with a count tool that looks like a toilet. I'm going to paste that right here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to change the color on it so that it's easy to see the color. So here is our source color of black. I'm going to change that to a nice shade of blue. Should pop very nicely on top of the black. Click OK. And now what you'll notice as I come back into the tool chest, here is our blue toilet. I'm going to drag it here. It's currently a snapshot in Advanced Material Takeoffs. Right click and create count. So here is now our toilet count measurement. Again, I could change the subject and the label and all of that information to go with it, but now I can just start counting with that count measurement. I could also, to my search results, right, we have our search results here, apply count measurement. There's that toilet there, so that could then be applied to any search that I've done. So very quick and easy. Again, any of these tools, you'll notice we've got these custom plumbing. This is actually just, again, a circle that we created using the markup tools, and then we converted it into a count. So very easy to perform that. So at this point, we've done some takeoffs. Let's pretend we've done all the takeoffs on this page. I'm going to do one more just for good measure for our next example, and this is going to be a little bit of tile for the janitorial room here and for the family room here. Again, I could easily do this with dynamic fill with just a couple of clicks, or just pick a tool out of the tool set. Lots of options depending on how you prefer to work. So we performed our takeoffs, and we have a lot of great data here in the markups list. Right? All of our measurements are here with their units, those assigned materials that we gave them, the labels that they had associated with them, all here in the markups list. And the question then becomes, how do we get this information into a bid? Now, some of you may be using the material cost columns to create bids, write and review, put things together. But most of us are probably using either our third-party bid software or we're using Excel. I know my last company used Excel for all of its bids. And it was really important to be able to get your takeoff information quickly into Excel and to have it transfer over accurately. Now, for those of you who have used Excel with Review, you know you go to Summary, you print that export that CSV summary, and then you copy over the columns you need into your Excel bid sheet. I am about to change your world because you will no longer ever have to export a CSV summary. All you have to do is turn on quantity link. So I'm going to minimize this so we can see them side by side. And what you're going to see here, right, our baseboard, right, we had our rubber base. This is 141.43 feet. This one is 141.43 feet. We've got a perfect match here. And as I come down here with our flooring, we have different types of flooring. Let's sort this by the label so that you can actually see 314 square feet of concrete 2. There we go. And then with concrete 1, we should have 816 square feet, and that is 816 square feet there. This has been updating as I've performed takeoffs all day. So let's say that I added another concrete 01. I'm just going to perform a quick takeoff of concrete 01 there. We have 37 additional square feet. Down here, you'll notice that this count has updated to 853 square feet, and the same has updated in our Excel spreadsheet. Now, this is our bid here, and you'll notice I haven't assigned tile yet, though we do have tile down here as an option. We have 110 square feet of it. Setting up a quantity link is very easy. Once your document's picked, all you do is you click Create, and then you pick your total. So this will be area, because it's square feet of, and then I can use my material or I can use my label to get that tile there. Click OK, and now here's 110 square feet of the tile. Very simple to use, incredibly easy to set up your bid sheet. And once your bid sheet is set up, you never have to set it up again. As long as you use the same tool set, right, you can pretty much have this match whatever got taken off with that tool set. So I'm going to come through, open a material takeoff that uses all of those tools. It's quite complex here. So here's our material takeoff. Lots of takeoffs. I'm now going to switch the document here. Quantity link, source files. Just remove our blank material takeoff, add in our material takeoff folder or file, click OK, and what you're now going to see is we have an updated count, and as I come up, for example, concrete 01, 48,848 feet, 48,848 square feet. Incredibly simple. Once you create your sample bid once, right, you've set it up for your tool sets, all you do is you do a save as once you add in your file. So this one I could save as my material takeoff, and A1.1.1 material takeoff, maybe A1.1.2, I perform a second separate material takeoff. I start with that sample bid, I change the document, and I save as, and it automatically updates all of that information. It's an incredibly powerful tool if you're taking any of your information out to Excel, only available in Revu Extreme. And the best part of this is that once you do this, you can either right-click and just turn off the quantity link so that it only does, so that it keeps all of these values as they are. So you can just quickly turn that off. The other thing that you can do is you can email this out to someone, and they're going to see the values at whatever they were at the last time that you saved this document. So it doesn't matter that they don't have Revu Extreme or they don't have the source file. They would just get the values as they were the last time that you saw them. Very powerful tool. Cannot stress enough how awesome Quantity Link is. I know it would have saved us a lot of time in our last job, as would really all of these takeoff tools. So let's get out of takeoffs. We are now done covering all of the takeoff tools in Revu 2017. And let's jump into some other productivity enhancement tools. Now, we have a variety of new tools that have been created to help you both automate a lot of the processes you do throughout the stages of your projects, and to better visualize information, whether that's better visualizing information in the office that has been produced out in the field, or better visualizing information in the field that has been produced back in the office. So let's take a look at these 4 new features. The first 2, automatic form creation and batch sign and seal, are Extreme only features. So like Quantity Link, they're both in Revu Extreme only. And they are going to be some huge time savers in automating common workflows, especially administrative tasks. And then 360 photos and 3D PDF enhancements are going to be how we communicate information better visually. Coming back into Revu, I'm going to change back into my construction profile. It's my preferred profile. And I'm going to open up an RFI template we have here. And what you'll notice is this RFI template is blank. It's got a lot of different form fields, nothing created in it. Now in Revu Extreme, rather than using the form editor to insert individual fields, I can click Auto Create and have Revu create those form fields for me. It's got the dates, the RFI numbers, who it's from and to. You'll notice that all of this text matches because this is searchable text, and it's just assign the text to that section. In addition, you've got the description, location and limits, some references, signature. This is actually a signature field, right? So I can click and I can sign that field, place it for responses. So it really caught everything and put it in. Now, if this was a scanned document, I could perform OCR first, optical character recognition, to turn this into searchable text, and then perform auto create. In addition, if I had any boxes here or any, for example, parentheses, it would note that those were check boxes or radio buttons, and just drop those right in. So even though all you see with this form is text and signature field, both the check boxes and radio buttons would be able to be dropped in. And if I needed to change anything to a drop down, I could quickly come through, take this out, for example, and then put in my drop-down list box or any other form fields that I would want that are also available here. So quick and easy, automatic form creation. The next one I'm really excited about, not so much for myself, but for all the people who have spent ages and ages signing off documentation. On your average project, right, you've got at least tens if not hundreds of documents that are being reviewed constantly. And once the review is done, this is, for example, the construction set, and it's time to send it out. As an architect or engineer, you've got to get your stamp and your signature across the page. Now, previously, this has been done with a couple steps, right? Markup, stamp, put the seal on, and then come through, document, document, signatures, and sign document. And then that's page one. Think about a large project. So for example, I've got an airport project here. In my airport project, in our sheets, our architectural sheets, and this is just a subset. I've got 30 architectural sheets alone coming in, those electrical sheets, one after another, right? It's going to take a while to do those one by one. With batch sign and seal, I'm going to take 6 documents for now, but again, this could be tens if not hundreds of documents, and I am going to sign them and seal them all at once. So coming into batch sign and seal, I have batch, and here is sign and seal at the bottom. I'm going to add that folder of documents that had the 6 files in it, and I'm going to apply my signature. So we're going to do a digital signature here. That is not my password. Hold on. Okay. And of course, this morning is the morning I can't remember my password, but we got it. We're good. I am approving this document. Throw in some location and contact information. I could change my appearance here. So if I had, for example, a signature set up, I could throw that in here. And this could be my signature. It could be a third-party digital signature. I created this one in Revu, but again, this could be something I created in a third-party program. I can zoom in to really get a nice placement there. And then I can import my seal here. So coming back in to this, actually, I already have my seal here. Perfect. So coming back out, here's my seal. And I'm going to put my seal on the page. Just pretend that it's actually got the correct date there and my name. But there we go. My licensed architect seal, my signature. I could even include a date here, flatten it onto the page, and just put that on to say what date this was approved. So right now it's in the upper left-hand corner. Now I can see how this will look on all of my 42 by 30 inch documents. Looks great so far. And I can come in and I can also look at additional documents. So for example, I have an 8.5 by 11 inch document here, and I can move these into place on that document too. Maybe this needs to be resized. Great. I will resize it even smaller here. Once everything's exactly as I want it, all I do is I hit done. And Revu takes care of signing and sealing the document. And for some reason, I have managed to give myself a read-only document here. Sorry about that, guys. I've got a bad setting somewhere here. Won't let me sign the document because it's read-only, but I've got my stamp here. If it wasn't read-only, I'd be able to drop my signature here. Let's see if that submittal worked out. It is also, I believe, read-only. I've got a setting on here I didn't realize I had. But in the right world and the real world, my signature would be in this corner too. Great. So the next tools that I mentioned were those visualization tools. The first one is 360 photos. So as I open my floor plan, 360 photos is as it sounds. With Revu 2017, not any, but almost any 360 photo that's taken with a camera can be added as a capture item. So right-click, capture from file, so you would take that 360 file, attach it to your markup, and then be able to navigate through it as a 360-degree photo. So here we go, my 360-degree photo. I can navigate, I can look up, and I can swirl around, I can look down. That's our photographer there, hiding beneath the camera. But very easy to show site conditions. I can zoom in and get some pretty good detail up here, even for things that are relatively far away. So very easy to communicate site conditions to people who are back in the office. And the list of supported cameras for 360 photos includes Ricoh Theta S, Samsung Gear 360, and several other cameras that you can find in the release notes on the Bluebeam website. The other big enhancement this year, this is one you guys have been asking for and we're happy to be able to provide it, is enhancements to the 3D PDF experience. Now with 3D PDFs, historically when you were looking at the model, you would come into the model tree and it would pop up on the left or the right hand side. Now it pops up in the bottom and looks an awful lot like the markups list. And because it looks a lot like the markups list, we've got a lot of options. We can sort and filter by any of these columns. So for example, I can filter here by coming down to the bottom, all of the windows, and look at just the windows. Or I could look at just the doors. In addition, I can do something similar. And let me just change my navigation mode here real quick so that we can zoom in a little nicer on here. I can search. So same thing, here's windows. There's all of the windows that we saw earlier with that filter. Same thing, I can look up anything that says doors. And it grays out everything else, so it's really easy to see what we're working on. Now if I click on a part, so let's say I click on the casework here, you'll notice it zooms in on the casework, centering it into the screen. And one of the great things that we can do now is change the metadata. So all of the data that you see here in this list can be updated. So if I take this, I'm going to select it all. I could edit it right here, or I can come into the Properties panel to edit it. So it's still available for view here in the Properties panel, but not just for view, but also for editing. So let's take that element ID. The element ID currently is 864241. That should actually be 864242. And now as I click out, the element ID on all of that has been updated. In addition, I can change colors. So for example, could change that to be blue to show perhaps its status on the project, right? So that's a nice blue sink or casework there for the sink. It might also be changed to blue just to show a project status or any other information there. So there's a lot of opportunity here to change things around and really use that information. Now you notice here in this metadata that I've got for this part, there's actually quite a few more columns than you see down here in the 3D model tree. And those columns can be turned on and off through Manage Columns. By default, the columns that are turned on besides the built-in columns, these metadata columns here are turned on because they're the ones that have the most data associated with them throughout all of the model parts. But you'll notice that there's a variety of other columns here that can be turned on and off. So I can pick any one of them, turn them on, turn them off, and see what's going on here. So for example, let's turn on, let's see, we've got area on already. Trying to think of another one you'd see really easily. We don't have, yeah, we have level 2. So most of this is already turned on, but again, we could turn them on and off here. Once we have the columns we want turned on and off, maybe we've moved them around because we want the element ID to be first. Works very much like the markups list. The last thing that works a lot like the markups list is the ability for us to export this all to a CSV file. By the way, everything that you've seen in between, ISO, all the different views, the model settings, cross sections, these all work the same as they used to. Summary, we can now export this to a CSV file for our terminal building. Just put this in my 3D enhancements, terminal building data, model data. Save that out, and now as I go back into 3D enhancements, I've got my CSV building, and I believe it will open in Excel for us in just a second when it's done exporting that data. Or I will open it in Excel. With Excel. Hello, Wednesday morning. A little more caffeine here on the West Coast sounds like a good idea. Let's go into open other workbooks from our computer. Oh, and it's not going to show up there, but it does open in Excel. I've seen it open in Excel. I just can't get it to work this morning. But yeah, that information all exported as a CSV file, all can then be opened and viewed in Excel. With that, we are done with the new features in Review 2017. If you'd like to learn more about the software, of course, you can learn about it from Orange Blade Consultants, but you can also come join us at the Bluebeam Extreme Conference this summer, August 14th through 16th at the JW Marriott, Los Angeles at LA Live. I know Orange Blade Consultants will be there. Registration for the conference opens April 4th, and you can learn more about the conference at bluebeamextreme.com. We hope to see you all out this summer. There's a variety of learning opportunities, networking opportunities. It's a great place to see and be seen and to learn more about Bluebeam software. With that, I want to thank you all so much for coming. We are going to open this up very shortly for a Q&A. I'm going to go through the question window, pick the most popular questions and answer them live on air. I know John's been doing a great job so far getting those answered. But in case any of you do need to run, I want to make sure that you know that you can upgrade to Review 2017 or get a free trial of the software by reaching out to Orange Blade Consultants. Again, John, Mike, Sarah, and Joel would be more than happy to help you out if you call them at the number listed here or shoot them an email at the email address that you see on this page. So please reach out to them to get information on Review 2017, grab your upgrade, grab a free 30-day trial, and otherwise enjoy the software. And new for 2017, with that free 30-day trial of 2017, you can install it side by side with Review 2016. So you don't have to get rid of your previous version of Review right away. You can try out 2017 and have that side by side with your original software so you can compare and contrast if you'd like. Thank you again all so much for coming out, and at this point I'm going to jump into the question window and see if we've got any questions for our live Q&A. So here we go. A busy, popular question window, it appears. And lots of good chats too. Man, you guys have been asking lots of fantastic questions today, so thanks for sending those in. One of the big questions that I see here is questions about Review Mac. So Review Mac is a separate product from Review for Windows, and as a separate product, it is not quite at feature parity. So all the new features you see in Review 2017, you won't necessarily be seeing those in Review Mac right away. But if you are a Mac user and do not have a virtual machine to run or a virtual environment in which to run Windows for Review for Windows, you can definitely use Review Mac there. Perfect. Some of the other questions that we've got up here. Can two or more materials be applied to a single room? So with dynamic fill, you can apply two or more materials in terms of applying separate area and a separate poly length, perimeter, or volume materials. If you need to apply to area materials, so for example, maybe you have a material that you're using for the actual baseboards for the floor, and then you have a separate material that's going on top of those baseboards, those would be two separate measurements. So definitely you would unfortunately have to perform dynamic fill twice to do that at this time. But if you really like it, you should send the idea, or if you do that a lot, you should send the idea to suggestions@bluebeam.com. Again, all the new features you see here are suggested by users, and you could easily suggest that to new users. Okay. There are a variety, there's a question here about any chance we could get a copy of your tool set. The advanced material tool set you saw today is not necessarily available at this time, but on the Bluebeam support page, support.bluebeam.com, there are a variety of pre-made tool sets that are available for you to download there. And of course, you can also reach out to Orange Blade consultants for more information. If you're estimating conduit, can you draw a polyline and assign the name conduit to the line that you just drew? The answer there is yes, and I'll actually show you real quick how to do that. So opening back up my blank material takeoff here. I'm not going to worry so much about the calibration on it. What I'm just going to do is take my measurements, put my polylink down. I'm just going to take a couple spots, not even straight. By the way, if you wanted the line straight, that's the shift key to get those straight. Coming back into my properties here and hitting escape. Here is our tool. It's our polylink measurement. I'm going to change this to conduit, and I'm not just going to change this to any conduit. I'm going to change this to 3/4 inch conduit. We can make separate tools for each of our types of conduit. So this is our 3/4 inch conduit. I'm going to change the color on it real quick. 3/4 inch will be blue with blue text. Okay. I'm going to come into my tool chest, and I'm going to change my profile so that I actually have some takeoff tools. So here's my advanced material takeoffs. I'm going to save that. So what you'll see now, here's our 3/4 inch conduit. Fantastic. I'm going to now change it again. So coming back into that properties panel, here's our properties again. Let's now make 1/4 inch conduit. And that 1/4 inch conduit is going to be green. Not the loveliest shade of green, but it's green nonetheless with some green text here. You'll notice that that has updated here. As I drag it in, now here's my 1/4 inch conduit. And we could just keep creating tools like that using the exact same tool on the page, making those copies, dragging them from recent tools down into advanced material takeoffs. Great. For automatic form creation, moving away from some of the takeoff tools, does automatic form creation automatically create a date form field based on the preceding text? The answer to that is no at this time. It's something we'd love to be able to do. All the form fields are general form fields. If you want to change it to be specifically date, and again, why not just do this again? It takes so little time to do. We're auto-creating today's date. What you'll notice over here is that there are no settings on it in terms of our options or what can be placed there, but for the format here, oh wait, just kidding. Hey, it did actually turn that into a date. Even better. My understanding was wrong. This tool is even cooler than I think it is. So yes, the answer is yes there. It automatically creates a date form field where only dates can be answered based on the preceding text. And of course, if you're, for example, in Europe and your day becomes before your month, you can easily change that around to be date, the date, then the month, then the year. Great questions. Is it possible to incorporate third-party certification into the batch sign and seal process? The answer to that is yes. So any certificate that you have available in your signatures, so when I go to sign document, just going to drop that on the page real quick. what you'll notice is this is my digital ID. Any digital ID that you have there, whether it's a third-party digital ID or it's created in Revu or it's created with Windows Certificate Store, whatever you've got available in that drop-down will be available to you in Batch Sign and Seal. So great question there. Another great question here. Can you load simple camera images in the same way that 360 images are used? The answer there is yes. Just going to close a couple of these. My computer's a little old, so it runs a little slow if I've got too many open. But what I'm going to do is open back up our first floor reference plan. I'm going to right-click, come to Capture, from File. I'm going to come into my images here, and I'm going to pick up, for example, some framing studs. Now what you'll notice when I click on this little capture icon here, the first photo is our 360 photo. The second photo, as I click through, is our image of the studs. At this point, if I had a camera on my computer, I could click the camera icon and I could use that to add a photo with the camera. So for example, on the with an iPad or a Windows tablet, I can use the camera icon to snap a photo and put that in here. I can also come through and just add another image again from our images, so furniture in the waiting room. So we could keep adding images left and right, and they're all associated with this markup. Now, the only problem with this capture is that it is the only thing in Revu that is outside of the PDF ISO standard. So if I were to email this off to someone with Adobe Acrobat, they would not be able to open up that capture. They wouldn't see that little camera there. But luckily here in the markups list with the summary, I can create a capture summary. And what that capture summary does is that it will show all of that capture media in 2D, so it won't show it. The 3D photo looks a little wide and pulled out, but it's got all of those pictures there available on that document for anyone who doesn't have Revu to be able to see. And by the way, just a note, it looks like there's a question here about Revu iPad. And with Revu iPad, you will be able to open capture. The 360 photo, unfortunately, will look sort of stretched out like it did on that other capture media addendum. So it will not be a navigable 360 photo on Revu iPad or Revu Mac, but the capture can be opened just to see the photos that are associated with it in more of a 180 degree format or a 2D format, however we want to talk about 360 degree photos outside of capture. Okay. This webinar has been recorded, and you can reach out to Orange Blade Consultants to get a copy of that webinar. They'll probably post it in the next couple of days. A great question here about quantities on 3D PDF. This has been something that has been heavily requested and unfortunately is not available yet. I, like all of you, can't wait until they figure out how to get the measurements being performed on a 3D PDF. It would be great to perform takeoffs on this document. However, one of the cool things with the new metadata in columns is that a lot of the parts do have, at least in this model, have areas and lengths and other information already associated with them. Now that does assume that the metadata associated with them that's coming over from Revit or Navisworks or SketchUp Pro is correct. But assuming that is correct, with that CSV record, you could just take these areas and plop them into whatever bid sheet that you have. So that could be an option for you there. Okay. Let's see, what have we got here? How do you address waste in your material takeoffs? So having that little bit extra there. Most of our customers who are addressing waste or overruns, overages, extras are doing that either in Excel, so they're just building in a column where they build in that overage there, or they'll do it with a custom column in Revu. So I had mentioned, oh, you know what, we can just do that from here. I had mentioned our custom columns in the markups list, and I don't see them right now because I've got the wrong document open. Here we go, blank material takeoff. But with those custom columns and being able to do those formulas, I'll open up a formula column here. The formula is just as easy as typing in an expression. So maybe I type 1.2 and that covers any overage that we need. With cost, we could do the same thing, just taking the measurement and multiplying it by whatever overage we like to have or waste we like to come through. Okay. Can you, oh, this is a great one, guys. Can you show 3D elements in 2D plans? And the answer to that is yes. So we've got this terminal building here. And in addition to the terminal building, and again, I'm going to close a couple of documents. My apologies here. My computer is about 3 years old and could use an upgrade. Hint, hint to IT. So I've got my roof plan. I've got my terminal building. And here within our terminal building, just closing a couple of panels to get a better view on this. Go full screen too. We'll give my computer a second to think. And it's got just a little age to it, and this 3D PDF does not make it the happiest because it's an old computer with slow CPU. But what ends up happening is that 3D PDF. My apologies, guys, just a second while this loads. Cool. So what we've got is our terminal building. And it looks like it's finally getting around to loading. So let's say we've got this roof here. And we've got our roof plan south on the other side. I can right click, I can copy this. And now I can paste this 3D information right into the top of our roof plan. So there is that 3D file from the clipboard. I can choose my background. We'll make this a nice light blue. Click OK, and now there's the roofing. If I zoom in on the document even more, a better view of that roof here. Very easy to see. So we could take entire sections. I can do a selection off of the terminal building and just embed that again into this 2D PDF, and it navigates like a 3D PDF inside the 2D PDF. Very cool there. Okay. Let's see, what else have we got here? You guys have been asking a lot of absolutely fantastic questions. So thank you. By the way, that 3D element that got pasted in here, follow-up question on that about the metadata, that metadata does come over here. So good to note there. Okay. How are digital signatures verified in Revu? So when you're doing digital signatures or digital certificates in Revu, one of the things that you can do with them, if you're using a third-party digital certificate, so a third-party program like and now I'm blanking on all of the names, but if you have a third-party signature, when you place that signature down, it'll be verified. It'll actually, every time that document's open, it'll ping the certificate authority and be like, hey, this is cool, right? And it'll do a little internet search. It'll be like, yeah, that's cool, and it'll automatically verify it. If it's something you've done with Revu, it's actually a right-click to verify. So very easy to verify them there. Highly recommend if you need really strong security and verification on digital signatures, use a third-party ID. The minute that you download it to your computer, it will automatically show up as one of your options in that digital signature option. So again, right there in that drop-down with the digital IDs, it'll automatically show up there. So very easy to use those third-party certificates. Fantastic questions, guys. It does look like we've gotten everything answered. But again, I'm going to hold on just a second because you've had so many good questions. I do want to make sure that if anything else pops up, we get that answered for you. Oh, here's another good one. Back to that 3D PDF and that's embedded in our 2D PDF. If you change the 3D PDF, will it update in the 2D plans that you've copied over? The answer to that is no, it is not linked. It is just a copy paste. So if you change the 3D PDF, you'll have to copy paste the new updated information into the other PDF. Great suggestion though. And if you want to send that over to suggestions@bluebeam.com and why you would want to use it that way, we are compiling all of that information and do regularly make updates to the software based on your recommendations. So please feel free to send that over to us. By the way, suggestions@bluebeam.com is manned by actual people. They sit here in our office in Pasadena, California. I know them well. They're really sweet, and they really like to work. Oh, another question. We're coming back into Capture. I'm just going to close a couple of files again, clean ourselves out with that Capture. I'm going to close our terminal building too. So we are back into our Capture media here. Right? And the question is, when we add in a 2D file, and I didn't save that, so I'm going to add back in a 2D file here, our drywall and studs. So when we add in this 2D file, can we make this 2D image interactive here in Capture? At this point, this imported image file cannot be made interactive. It would be great, I agree, to be able to like zoom in up here. But one of the things we could do is we could export this and then zoom in on it from wherever we've exported it to. So not interactive at the moment, but would be pretty cool if we could interact with that image file, maybe mark it up or zoom in. Good questions here. How did I get the photo dialog box to pop up? So there's a couple of ways to add a photo here within Capture. One is to right click and to get a capture from file, and that will make that photo dialog box pop up. The way that I did it, when I clicked on this capture here, you'll notice that there's two buttons down here. One is this image with a plus sign, one's the camera with a plus sign. Again, if I had a camera, I'd do it with the camera, but here when I click the image one with the plus sign, it makes that photo pop up. Good call. And once I add a photo, by the way, I can delete it. Just a note on Capture, which is pretty cool. I hit that delete button, and we're now back down to one photo there. Okay. Capture is available in Revu Standard, CAD, and Extreme, so you don't need any special version of Revu for Capture. If you click a markup, you right-click, and you do not see Capture, it may be the version of Revu you're on. I believe it was released in version 12. So if you're on a version that's older than version 12, you will likely not see Capture on here. Another question here related to Capture, can you add video into Capture or a PDF? So at this time, if you have a tablet with a camera on it, so for example, a Surface Pro is a great option of a tablet with a camera on it. You can use that camera tool to record a video. My camera is not functional on this computer, so if I hit that camera button, I'm going to crash Revu. If you don't have a camera, don't click the camera button for Capture. But if you did have a camera, you could click that and then you could choose a record button to actually record video of what you're doing. If you took video on your 360 camera, unfortunately that video cannot be embedded at this time, but a single screenshot or photo from it can be embedded. Great questions. If you don't have any more questions, I'm happy to end today's webinar, but if you do have them, I am going to hang out. I do want to make sure everything that you guys are wondering gets answered, since you have a Bluebeam Bluebeamer here on the line. So nice to be able to ask any questions that you have. But if you don't have any more questions, I do want to thank you so much again for coming out to today's webinar. Please feel free to reach out to Orange Blade Consultants to update to review 2017, get information on the new release, get a free 30-day trial, or for that matter, just to find out more about Revu. They offer training, certified training, authorized services, and top-notch sales support. John, Mike, Sarah, and Joel will be more than happy to help you out. They're a Bluebeam Platinum partner and are more than happy to assist in any way that you need. Thank you again. I'm just going to pull back up their contact information for those of you guys who do want to get in touch with them or looking for more information. With that, I do think we sort of petered out on the questions. But again, thank you all so much for coming out. And if anything pops into your head, you have any questions that pop up after this, please do reach out to Orange Blade Consultants. They're incredibly well qualified to answer any questions you have and are more than happy to help you out.